with Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook. This is Racing Dreams.
Hello, hello, hello. We are down to the final day of the Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival. Of course, we've got 2 shows left. We'll do this week and next week, and we'll start looking ahead towards the mighty, mighty spring next week.
Oh, the world's longest spring campaign. Good morning to you at home. What an autumn it's been. It's been absolutely sensational. Another great day here in Sydney for the All-Age Stakes Day. So it'll be an absolute ripper. If you're thinking of heading to the track, go and do it. Otherwise, stick around. We've got a great show coming up. Let's take a look. Can 4-time Group 1 winner Zaki keep his unbeaten run over the Randwick 1400? We are live to Annabelle Measham ahead of today's all-star studded all-age stakes.
Oh, it's a cracking race. John O'Shea is chasing his 3rd all-age stakes with Speedster Lost and Running. And
we look back at some of the highlights from a record-breaking Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival. Well, this is good news for punters. 4-time Group 1 winner Zaki is back at Royal Randwick today, teaming up with James McDonald in the All-Age Stakes.
And still smiling after last Saturday, Annabelle Measham joins us now. Morning, Annabelle. That was a stirring win by Christilli in the Percy Sykes.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Particularly as she's a filly we've always had a really big opinion of. We've been very patient with her, and she still does a few things wrong, but to see her put a field away like that, traditionally the Percy Sykes, the format of that race is normally really good. You have to have a very good filly to win it. So, not only was it exciting to win the race like that, but it's just exciting, for the future that was only her 2nd start.
Annabelle, we had Lizzie Jelfs on last week, and she kept that one pretty quiet, but her celebrations weren't quiet.
Yeah, I was surprised she kept it quiet because she was pretty excited leading into it. But it was great to share that moment with her. She's obviously been involved with a lot of horses when she worked for David Hayes. But I think that's probably the first time, from an ownership point of view, that she's been involved with a big winner like that. And particularly one that she'd picked out. She saw her here one morning at track work and asked me if there was any shares left. So I think she was, pretty excited that she'd picked her out from track work. I think she'd only just turned 2 at the time, so she's still showing she's still got it, can still pick a good horse.
Yeah, well, another racing dream really. A couple of $100,000 I think at the English sale, and she's already banked 700 in 2 races. Yeah,
exactly, and we knew she was a smart filly, so Lizzie was pretty keen to go back to the sale again and buy her full sister, so she was a little bit cheaper as well. So lots to look forward to with both of those fillies.
Well, speaking of looking forward to, your mate Zaki, he's back from a freshen up. How is he? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite relaxed actually for a day that Zaki's racing. Often I'm sort of full of nerves, but getting a bit more used to it now that he's been racing for a couple of seasons now. But it's been a bit of an unorthodox preparation to get to this point. He trialled up really well initially, and then was just very flat in his 2nd trial, and I just wasn't happy with his general demeanour. So we decided to give him a freshen up. The original plan was the Queen Elizabeth, so this was really plan B. But if we could win an all-age stakes on our way up to the Queensland Carnival, it would be amazing. It's a pretty strong field, but we know he likes heavy conditions, and we know he loves the 1400 at Randwick.
Yeah, it's an intriguing race, this one, isn't it? A few of these Everest runners going up to the 1400 for the first time.
Yeah, I think Giga Kick looks an exceptional horse. Obviously beaten by I Wish I Win, who again had gone to another level, but I think he's the real danger. Giga Kick and Marzu was great that day as well. So it's not going to be no easy task for Zaki, but he's been a really consistent horse nearly every time he's raced. If he's not winning, he's still running to a very similar level. So that holds him in good stead and gives me a bit of confidence coming into today. And he's more of a middle distance horse, but he's been really good fresh. He's 2 from 2 at Randwick, albeit in lesser fields, but he won both tramways very easily. So that gives us a bit of confidence here, and a couple of Australia's best sprinters, a lot of them are in this field. A few of them are unknown at stretching out to the 1400. So it's a really intriguing race, and we're very lucky that James McDonald has decided to stick with Zaki here.
And some welcome news this week as well, with Mo'unga confirmed to race on for another year. What was a key factor in that decision?
Oh, well, it's obviously he's been so consistent. I think 21 of his last 22 runs have been at Group 1 level, and he's always been around the mark. But I think, you know, he's won 2 Group 1s, but I'd nearly put that run on Saturday down as one of his career bests. So, you know, he's certainly getting, you know, better, or at least maintaining his ability as he gets older. And, you know, a couple of these other horses like Animo aren't going to be around next season, and, you know, it's probably a good opportunity for a horse like Mo'unga, you know, to keep contesting in these weight for age Group 1s. And it's a, you know, credit to the Kelly family from New Haven and all their partners. You know, they're great for the sport. They're breeders, but they love their racing as well. And, you know, I think it's very sporting of them that they've decided to race him on another year. And I just hope that they're repaid with another couple of Group 1s with him. The prize money's unbelievable here in New South Wales, and it's, you know, that's another massive factor in trying to bank more prize money.
Absolutely, the Kelly gang love them, and I tell you, when it went down there, put on a beautiful meal. So hello to John and the family at down there at Burrawa. And look, the thing about Mo'unga for you, Annabelle, as well, so dear to your heart, he put you on the map, didn't he? Like such a good horse.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of sentimental sort of happiness there when they said they'd race him on for another year. Yeah, 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago now, he provided me with my first Group 1 win. So, you know, he's always going to be very special to me, and he's just an absolute pleasure to have in the stable. He's a real favourite amongst the staff. Although he's a stallion, you know, you wouldn't know it. He's got a very sort of calm, gentle demeanour, and he's a great ride. So, yeah, it's nice having his head looking over the door every morning when you come out into the yard, that's for sure.
Well, Annabelle, we certainly appreciate your time on such a big day. It sounds like the stables are nice and clean there, with the leaf blower going consistently behind you this morning. So the team's doing a good job to keep the stables looking sharp.
I think that's Gary Portelli's leaf blower.
Annabelle, so good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good on you, Annabelle. There's nothing.
No leaf blower.
Look, you can be in the middle of the desert. This is about TV, bit of an insight. You can be in the middle of the desert, no noise, nothing, and next thing you know, you turn a camera on and
right on cue.
Drone will come, or a helicopter from nowhere. Well, a big congratulations this morning to trainer Paul Snowden and his wife Crystal, who last week welcomed their 4th daughter into the world. Now, Paul's proud dad, training partner Peter, and his wonderful, lovely wife Lynn now have 6 granddaughters. Yep.
Wow. Well, today the family's focus is all about work, of course, in Royal Randwick, with plenty of chances, including Don
Corleone.
Don Corleone in the Champagne, and Marzu in the All-Age Stakes.
Marzu's way out in front. Here's 4 in a row, and Marzu does it easily from Bacchanalia. Smedova third, just in front of Shahonka.
Peter Snowden, well, there he is, Marzu. He's a beautiful looking horse, isn't he?
He looks better when he's in front, Tim. He has been a good horse right from day one, and we're very privileged to have him in our stable, and I'm sure the owners think the same.
All-Age Stakes today with him, first time over 1400.
Yeah, it is his first time at 1400, but look, I've always been pretty confident he'd get that sort of trip. His horse has got good, genuine pace, but he doesn't overdo it, and I think if he's rated right and the race is run to suit him, he can run a good 7 in a very good field on Saturday.
Well, he's a classic example of a racing dream, isn't he? Because he didn't go for an enormous amount of money at the sales as he comes over to say hello there.
No, he didn't. He's a dream for the syndicators, Triple Crown, and he's a dream for the people involved in him because, as you say, not a lot of money. He's already amassed well over 6, 7 million. So he's an exciting horse.
And what did you think of his run in the TJ? It was strong.
Oh, really good. And look, he ran really well. And but just 2 better horses beat him on the day. But I think when he got past Nature Strip, he thought he had a 1. And he has got the only little fault he has when he gets to the front, he does prick his ears and think the job's done. And when he got to Nature Strip inside the 200 metre mark, he thought the job was done. And these 2 horses come screaming down the outside. And when he seen him, he sort of rallied again. But they got momentum up on him, and he wasn't going to peg them back. But 2 very, very smart horses, and Giga Kick and I Wish I Win. They're 2 very, very sharp horses. So No, I couldn't be disappointed with his run. It would have been good to win, but certainly pleased with his effort.
I reckon he can smell some hay on my hand because I've been feeding my wife's horses this morning. How are you? And of course, last year it was a win in the Arrowfield, then up a little bit of a spell up to Doomben before, of course, the spring. And similar sort of pattern here in the sense of you'll see whether you take him up to Brisbane?
Yeah, it's similar, but look, this is only his third run in this prep, which for him that's nothing. He just keeps riding. His fourth and fifth runs are normally his best runs. So certainly on the radar we go there, and we've got time. I think it's 4 weeks from today to run in that race. So look, a lot will depend on what he does. If he runs well, we go, and if he think he needs a break, but he can have a short break and get ready. It's all about getting back for the Everest in his next prep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got a couple of good chances. Last day of the Autumn Carnival here with the Champagne, and Don Corleone's the Broadway act for you guys, but he's not the only one you'll have.
No, look, we'll have 2 horses in the race, but Don Corleone, I love that name too. It rolls off the tongue.
I love the Godfather.
But I'd love him to win. God, he's been so honest, so genuine, and he's run second in the Diamond. He ran a good gallant fourth in the Slipper. He ran a really good second the other day in the Sires. So look, he deserves a win, and it'd be fantastic to see him get up on Saturday.
Okay, and then it's off to the spring with this guy. I think he's keen to be a TV star, Marzu. He's got a little bit of Mr. Ed about him. You almost feel like he can talk. But it seems set for him for the Everest this year as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, my word. No, we were very lucky the Arrowfield and the Star gave us that 2 slot last year and this year, because I always thought this was going to be his time. Last time through as a young horse, he was just still getting grounding, what I call it, just getting toughened up at that real hard racing, and he acquitted himself really well. But now he's an older horse now, he's getting stronger again, and I certainly know he's there this year. It will be another great race, but he'll be a worthy contender for sure.
Thanks, Pete, and congratulations to Paul, of course. Him and his wife had their 4th daughter, so it makes it 6 granddaughters for you.
Yeah, I can't wait for 6 weddings. I can't wait.
You need some more winners. Thanks, Pete.
We're working on about 200, I think. I was going to retire, but I'm a long way off now.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Cheers, Will.
Oh, they're a beautiful family, and good morning to all the Snowdens this morning, and thank you for coming on, Peter. Of course, Paul's been helping at home. Quite
busy at home, I'd imagine.
As you know, Julie, I got an early shot of you and Gus watching
Yes,
Weekend
we were watching
Edition.
this morning.
It's great to have you on board. Now it's time to head to Newcastle, and our next guest, pretty happy with the improved form of his beloved Newcastle Knights in the NRL. They play the Panthers today, and I am going to start the conversation with trainer Chris Lees on rugby league, because they're giving you a little bit of a reason to dream, I think, early on. I like the look of them, Chris.
Yeah, they're playing well, Tim, aren't they? They're having a go, and I think anyone from Newcastle, that's all we want and hope for, and they're certainly doing that.
Sorry, Chris, you thought you were coming here to talk racing, but we thought we'd just talk to you about league instead.
We cover all bases here.
Exactly. We tick everything off. Look, it has been a big autumn campaign. Let's talk first of all about peer pressure. 3rd in the Group 1 size on the opening day of the championships, running in the Champagne Stakes today. How did she pull up, and how's she going to fare with that extra 200?
Yeah, look, she come through the run really well. She'd had a freshen up coming into this preparation with 1 lead-up run into the size. She went to the post at 150 to 1, so she certainly surprised a few. But around the stable, we thought she just had a sneaky chance, and she ran up to our expectations, or probably exceeded them in some ways. And we're comfortable now trying her again in similar company up another 200 metres. Ideally, she's come up with a nice gate, which I think's important for her. She'll get a nice run just behind the speed. Whether she can finish in front of them 2 big colts who beat her home the other day in the size, we'll see. But heavy track, it makes it just a little bit of a lottery effect, and I think she'll run well again.
I know you do that trip Newcastle to Sydney often, and sometimes it's a little bit miserable driving home. Last Saturday, you couldn't have been happier, could you? What a cracker. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we're very pleased. Obviously, the provincial championships, a race that we try and target every year, and we've had good representation most years, and to win it again was certainly very pleasing, with Spangler beating the stablemate Lock Eagle. Albeit we probably went into the race, our best chance we thought going into the race was scratch the morning of the race, so it's the highs and lows of racing. But Spangler was very strong. he put a real gap in them at the finish, and it was pleasing to see. And we were lucky enough to win another stakes race earlier in the day with Rosita for some long-time clients in Bob and Sue Hannon. So all round, it was a great day.
It was also a great day for your star apprentice jockey, Dylan Gibbons. Now, he secured his first Group 1 win last week, winning the Sydney Cup. A huge achievement for a 21-year-old apprentice. It must be just such a thrill to see these young apprentices like this go on, do well. We've seen Tyler Schiller earlier in the campaign, in the carnival as well. The hard work they put in, it just must be so thrilling to see them rewarded.
Yeah, well, I got a bigger kick out of that than the two winners the stable had. One of them, Dylan, was on, but see him win a Sydney Cup, to win a Group 1 so early in his career, he's got such a bright future. He's well on his way now. He's established himself as one of the top jockeys in Sydney, not just an apprentice, and the world's his oyster. And we're very, very proud of what he's achieved in a short time, and he's a pleasure to have around our stable. He's such a level-headed young man. As I said, he's got a lot more to come.
They can get sledged a bit at times, particularly from unhappy punters, jockeys. But when you think about it, you think of these young guys coming to stables like yours and others, Mark Newnham and many others, and they are just young men, and they have to grow up quick, don't they? They have to grow up quick, and they have to be very disciplined in the way that they live because of all of the restrictions that are placed on them to be a jockey.
Very much so, and you look at Dylan, he's quite tall. For a jockey, he's very tall. Remember when he first started, we thought he'd have a very limited time in the saddle, but his weight's really stabilised, and that's through hard work and dedication, and he hasn't changed much his body shape, which has been a huge advantage for him, but it's also contributed by such dedication that he's put in. So, you know, they miss a few things on the way, but they make up for it in other areas, certainly with a nice payday last Saturday.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Performances like this, I mean, they're riding against the best jockeys. We have some of the best jockeys right here in the world. What is this saying about the quality of the future of these jockeys here in New South Wales particularly?
Yeah, especially. We've got these 4 young apprentices coming through, and I'm sure there's a few more in the bush ready to make their mark in Sydney. But you need them young fellas coming through. It's you know, it's a demanding game, but we're very fortunate, as you said. We've got some of the best top jockeys throughout the world are all based here in Sydney and Melbourne, but we're very fortunate, and I think there's a really good breed of young men coming through.
Well, I know you've got to jump in the car and come down the freeway, and I just have to start with rugby league and finish. Will you listen or watch the game? Will you get the chance today on a Saturday?
Yeah, I'll have the iPad in the back of the car, Tim. It's 5:30 kickoff, so I'm in the last race at 5:10. So a couple of little beers on the side and the iPad, and I'll be right.
Who's driving?
And he'll have, he won't be. And he'll have KO on as well. I wish him well. I hope they get the chocolate.
And the steering wheel. Yeah.
Just to be clear, Chris Lees will not be driving home this afternoon.
I will be in the back of the car, I promise you.
He did say the back of the car, Jules. So it's not since Police Academy we've seen someone drive a car from the back. Light hour. Good on you, Chris.
Chris, so good to see you.
Do you remember that?
Good on you both, thank you.
Thanks, mate. Do you remember when he took the front seat out of the car in Police Academy, Light Tower? I remember that. I'm showing my age. Coming up, John O'Shea chasing a third all-age stakes. Today's $1.5 million feature. We catch up with him. What's happening?
Back to Racing Dreams. I'm a bit sleep deprived. It's the end of the season. Oh, it's been a big one. A huge final day of the Sydney Autumn Carnival with the all-age stakes, the feature today at Royal Randwick, and a man who is looking for his third win in this race is informed trainer John O'Shea.
Yeah, and he's in it up to his bootlaces, isn't he? Group 1 winning, Lost and Running out to 1400 for the first time.
And quickly, Lost and Running moved up to take the lead. Marzu's fighting on together with Apache Chase. Back on the inside, Masked Crusaders flying late. It's Lost and Running from Marzu. Lost and Running, Marzu, Lost and Running. Lost and Running's won the premiere.
Well, there he is, John O'Shea, Lost and Running. What a boy he is.
Yeah, no, he's a great horse and a great horse to our family and our stable, and he's in tremendous form. You know, he just caught the wide barrier in a very, very heavy track last week, so we're looking for hopefully a little bit better barrier and a bit better ground for him to be effective on Saturday.
First time he goes to 1400. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, he's had a crack you know, he's only cracked beyond 1200. He won the 100 at 1300. He looked strong that day, so I'm really keen to get him. I've always been keen to get him to this trip on this day. So would like to probably have one more run going into it, but he's a happy horse and he's pretty fit.
And to go from here up to Queensland, then back possibly for the Everest?
Yeah, well, we'll probably give him one run in Queensland, and then then we've got to try and find a spot in the Everest, obviously. But if he can put up a good performance his next 2 runs, obviously, just to get an indication that he's back in the game, and I'm sure someone will give us a nibble.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. The way that this guy races. The race itself, the All-Age Stakes, which is that and the Champagne on Saturday. But you've got a good history with it, don't you? It was a private steer racing to win. What's the key to it?
Well, having a really good horse. It's a good start, you know. And, you know, both those horses were, you know, champion weight for age horses. And this bloke's yet to win Group 1 level, but he's a good weight for age horse, you know. So it's the right race for him. Just see the nominations and where he can draw, but you know, he's a horse that would travel in the first 3 at an all age and be hard to chase down, because I think he'll run it right out.
How do you remember those 2 races? I know we're going back nearly 20 years with one of them.
Both horses probably come to the outside and got the job done late, so you know, they were just champion weight for age, you know, sprinter milers. So this bloke's probably, it's the upper end of his distance range, but we're pretty confident he'll run it.
You could really finish this carnival with a bang. Lots of chances. Wahaha Falls, Lions Roar amongst them.
Yeah, we've got Diamil in as well and Coda Healy. So, you know, we've gone to the races each day with strong chances. We just probably lacked a couple of good barriers, you know, to get us a spot where we could be effective. The filly ran great in the Oaks. And we were really happy with all the runners on the day last week, but we just didn't come away with the right barriers to get us into a spot where we could be effective. So hopefully that's the case this week, because it's so competitive. The difference between winning and losing can be just, you know, luck and running. So the horses are ready to go and ready to run well, and we just got to find that right position in running.
Finally, this carnival, it's 10 years since the championship's begun. It works beautifully, doesn't it, with the sales in the middle?
It's busy.
It's busy, I know, but for thoroughbred lovers.
Oh yeah. Look, and you know, it's reflected in the crowd numbers last Saturday. It was an amazing day, and you know, the racing, the quality of the racing's just improved dramatically each time. So you know, I think that it's gone to a whole new level. We've got international participation now because we've got reasonable veterinary approaches to racing, and consequently the internationals are appreciative of that, and they're bringing their good horses. So I think it can only get bigger. The money's unbelievable, the facilities are fantastic, and the racing's just been first class.
Have a big day.
Cheers, mate.
Well, it is the final day of the Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival. What a few weeks we have had. Today is still going to be a cracker, a 10-race card completing 6 weeks of world-class carnival racing here in Sydney, worth more than $41 million.
Oh, it's extraordinary. And from the Australian Turf Club, it is great to have Mr. Brett Devine with us, another Police Academy fan, Tackleberry and all those names. How are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you, Tim and Julie. Good morning to you and good morning to all the punters across Australia. Well, the only police we'll need here today, Tim, is to keep control of the crowds, because they're growing so much and having so much fun. So what a magnificent day here in Sydney. Anybody still in Sydney at the moment thinking about what they're doing this Arvo, head out to Royal Randwick, jump on the tram or the light rail, and what a day of racing and entertainment we have ahead of us.
That's the thing, Brett. There's been such a huge focus on the spring campaign, but what I've found the autumn this year, the crowds, the younger generation, they're really flocking to the track and having an incredible time. You're seeing all the work the ATC and Racing New South Wales are doing. It's been a sensational autumn.
You're spot on there, Julie, and the proof's in the pudding, isn't it, when you see the vision of the crowds here last week and the last 4 or 5 weeks across Rosehill Gardens and Royal Randwick, and even John O'Shea just touched on it there in your interview. You can see the crowds are building. Look, we're really pleased to say ticket sales are up about 30% on last year, so some really good growth there off the back, obviously, of a few years of disruption. And what we really are seeing is that younger demographic, as you've touched on, and something like well over 60% of ticket sales are now people under the age of 35, and even in the Everest in spring, we're seeing that number even grow in terms of the percentage of younger people. They're coming in big groups. They're coming in groups of 10, a lot of them. So I think what we're seeing here in autumn, Julie and Tim, is a growth off spring. We're seeing that Racing New South Wales and the Australian Turf Club's efforts to get young people to the Everest, that great disrupting race that's really changing the face of racing not only in Australia but around the world, is attracting the younger people. They're coming in spring, but they're now coming in autumn as well. So spectacular weather like this here in Sydney, what a day we have ahead of us, really does help around these parts. So we're thrilled with the number of people that have been coming. We're so thankful for that. And around Australia and beyond the world, more than 60 countries are watching our racing and seeing some of the best racing and best participants anywhere you'll see on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic growth. And the bottom line is that we've all been doing it since we were young because we've always loved it. But what I think a lot of young people are finding out and realising is that a day at the races, whether you know a lot about horses or you don't, is just a lot of fun. And you've got the new wing stand, you've got all these other innovations around Royal Randwick. It's just a beautiful place to be and a great place to enjoy yourself on a Saturday afternoon. Now, let's have a look at today's all-age stakes. I think this is a cracking race, Brett, because you've got these sprinters pushing out to 1400. We've got Giga Kick and Marzu and Lost and Running. I know Lost and Running is one over 1300. Then you've got Zaki. It's a fantastic race. What a way to finish.
Yeah, the Schweppes All-Age Stakes, Tim, what a way to finish, of course, is always one of the highest rating and strongest races through the carnival, and this is probably one of the best even yet. We've got something like 7 individual Group 1 winners who have won 16 Group 1 races and total career prize money of something like $60 million. So how fascinating is that to see some of the best horses in the country and beyond? We have a Japanese runner running this year in Ho-Oh Amazon, trained by his colourful trainer Yoshita Yahagi, who will be here on course today. So the Schweppes All-Age Stakes are a really, really strong race. Zaki, the old fella, against a couple of the new kids on the block, including, of course, the Everest champion in Giga Kick, who loves Royal Randwick, who was only beaten by probably one of the best horses in the country last start now, and I Wish I Win. So fascinating race, a great way to celebrate not only 6 weeks of world-class racing, but the end to our carnival here today.
And just on that, what an impact the international runners, trainers and jockeys have had on this autumn. It's been so great to have them back here in Sydney, and they have brought and produced some of the best results we've seen, like the Queen Elizabeth.
Well, exactly. We've said more than 60 countries are watching our racing, and just to name 4 of the very best jockeys in the world have all been here in Sydney and have all won Group 1 races over this carnival. Ryan Moore from the UK, Zach Purton, now based in Hong Kong, Joe Moreira, who's in the twilight of his career, still riding as well as ever, and Tom Marquand. So 4 Group 1 winning jockeys here in Sydney over the past 6 weeks are known around the world. They've been competing, of course, William Haggis with his horse Dubai Honour, William winning his 3rd Longines Queen Elizabeth Stakes here at Royal Randwick. Joseph O'Brien, one of the most famous trainers in the world, has had runners here. And of course, we've mentioned Yoshita Yahagi, who was here with his horse Unicorn Lion last week, and now Ho-Oh Amazon. So we've had a record number, Julie, of international runners come to Sydney this autumn carnival. Amongst many records, 20 of them have visited. A lot are staying to race on in Sydney, so the world is watching and the world's participating, and the world's knowing that Racing New South Wales and the Australian Turf Club are offering incredible prize money and great racing for participants anywhere around the country. And must I say too, our friends in New Zealand coming in big numbers as well again, and they of course have dominated the fillies with winning the Vinery with Prowess and the Oaks just last week with Penny Wecker.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we've got this week, then we've got next week, and part of next week's show is going to be all about looking at the spring because we'll take a few weeks off through the winter, and then Racing Dreams, the Everest will be back here, and look, that just grows exponentially, as you mentioned at the start of this interview, my friend.
It really does, Tim. It has changed the face of racing in this country, certainly the way people come to the races. But the talk of the Everest, and you're well advised to start talking about spring already, because the Everest is spoken about here in Sydney all year round. John O'Shea's touched on it, Peter Snowden just earlier, and of course he'll have Marzu and possibly other runners. So people are already talking about the Everest well in advance. Slot dealing is going on and people behind the scenes looking at these runners. So What's something to look forward to, isn't it, Tim and Julie? That big event in the spring, which will build up to, obviously, once we get through the cold, harsh winter here. What a time it is to be involved in Sydney racing. I know my mate down in Melbourne, Kieran, he was a runner here last week, and he'd love to get into the Everest as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
The countdown is already on. We're very much looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your support this season, Brett. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you to you, Tim and Julie and Racing Dreams. Fantastic to have you, and especially today, we hope good luck to all the punters.
Yeah, and enjoy that next viewing of Police Academy. I think it's streaming on one of the services. Good to talk to you, brother.
Good to see you, Tim, too. Yeah, have fun.
Stay with us,
dear.
because we're going to look back at some of the highlights, Jules.
Yeah, from this record-breaking Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival. That is coming up next on Racing Dreams.
It is great to have your company on Racing Dreams this Saturday. It's very rare when the Cummings name isn't up in lights at one of our main racetracks around the country.
On the last day of the Autumn Carnival last year, it was all Bart's son and, of course, James and Ed's dad, Anthony. And what a brilliant win it was by his star filly, She's Extreme, in the Champagne Stakes in 2022.
She's Extreme still in front. Fireburn lifting late. She's Extreme clinging on from Fireburn, and She's Extreme flips the result this time. She's Extreme wins the Group 1 Champagne Stakes by a half length to Fireburn.
She's Extreme. We just watched her win again, the Champagne Stakes. That was some kind of win, Anthony.
Yeah, it was very strong. Brent Abdullah wasn't too kind to Tommy in the size leading into it. And we spent a bit of time to working out a plan to bring all that undone and get in front of him. And it worked. So, time and effort, but certainly a quality filly made all that possible. And she raced really well. It's the best she went to the races, I think, through that preparation. And to see her come out on top was fantastic.
It's hard to believe it's a year ago, but I can remember the smile on your face. It meant a lot, didn't it?
Oh, I did. It's always nice to be competitive at the top end, and it was a filly that we really liked and had a lot of time for right from the get-go. She was a group winner at 1200. We thought there was a way to have won. The size didn't happen, and then we got it right with the Champagne, and it was just very satisfying.
She's had a couple of problems, a couple of health issues since. How is she, and what will you do next?
She's in great shape right now. She went off to Lee Everson's place for some rehab after she bruised a tendon. That's reacted really well. He's quite confident she'll be back for the spring. And in light of that, I suppose the Golden Eagle is the race that sort of puts its hand up for her. I'm hopeful of her being there for that. And then if that turned out okay, then the race after, well, there's a couple of options for her after that, one of which would be the 2,000 metre race at Flemington on the last day.
It's a busy time, the Sydney Autumn, but when you look back and say that the championship's been going for 10 years, successful, isn't it? It's a good concept because you get day one, day two, you get the sales in between.
Yeah, it is a fantastic concept. I mean, I wasn't quite sure of the championship thing from the get-go, to be fair, but it's worked out, better than anyone could have hoped, I think. And it does, represent exactly what the name says. The championships of all sorts of races, and whether it's the Mayor's Mile or whether it's the Queen Elizabeth and all those sorts of things. Doncaster fits into it. The Sydney Cup. I mean, all those are grand final races, and it's a grand final, racing period.
What about Cote last week? What did you think? Because plenty of tipsters thought that he'd win.
Yeah, I was probably one of them. I think the horse raced really well. I think we paid full penalty for the outside gate. He jumped too well to sort of try and get back in, and the horse we thought would lead and sort of put a little bit of space in the field didn't, and he missed the start, so that didn't happen. The horse is directly inside. We thought one would go back, one would go forward, and that didn't happen. So finished up being stuck on a limb, and that was pretty awkward. She elected to go forward, which is, I suppose, fair enough in the circumstance, but we've seen that he's better off with a sit and hit the line, so we'll do that next time.
What about the final day of the carnival? You got a few chances?
My Truth looks like being our best chance. He goes to the Frank Baker Plate. Two very strong wins his last two starts. So I think the step to 2000 will really suit. He's by a stallion that's been really dominant over the last little while for Sia. New Zealand-based stallion who's done well over there and here. So hopefully we can join that team.
I know how much and how proud your dad was of you and your boys, and we look over at that picture. You must be just cock-a-hoop at the way they're going. They're extraordinary the way, both of them.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. You know, it's a bit of a father's dream to see them sort of follow, as I did with my own lad, to sort of follow in the footsteps, but probably going better than I am.
But that's not bad, is it? But it says something. It says something about the DNA. Can you unlock it for us?
I suppose I do. Got a couple of kids doing the same thing. So you know, no, just very satisfying. We had a Easter Sunday that all the kids came around, all the grandkids and the rest of it, and it's a pretty funny day. So when we all get on well. It's a very competitive business, the racing side of it, but you know, there's always a bit of chat about some of the horses and what are you doing and this, and it's yeah, I mean, it's just, for me, I love it.
You still wake up and feel the magic?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it's this time of year, you usually wake up before the alarm goes off, so that usually tells you you're going okay.
What about for the spring? Anything that you got high hopes for? I know it's a little way off.
Yeah, I got some really nice horses sort of coming through, and I think for the spring, you know, we'll be a force to be reckoned with.
All right, all the best on Saturday. Thanks, Anthony.
Good on you. Good luck.
I always worry the alarm will go off, having done so many years, like all the years on the Today Show and everything else. The couple of times I didn't get there in time.
I have a human alarm these days. He squawks quite loudly, so I'd never sleep in. But can you imagine what family gatherings are like with the Cummins family?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would they be a bit competitive?
I have to try and wake them up now that they're a bit older. Yeah, they would be, but what an amazing family, and to watch the generations continue on, and it's great to see they had a wonderful Easter together.
Well, today's All-Age Stakes Day marks the end of the Autumn Carnival. As we've said, we've enjoyed 6 weeks of world-class racing featuring many incredible moments. So let's take a look back at some of the highlights on and off the track from the autumn of 2023.
The Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival features an incredible 18 Group 1 races with total prize money of $41 million, making this Australia's richest autumn racing carnival.
You certainly feel as though the Autumn Racing Carnival is back with a bang.
Everybody says you go into racing with dreams. Well, we're living the dream.
Shinzo starting to run on. Cylinder takes the lead of the 200 from Shinzo giving chase. Cylinder, but Shinzo and Ryan Moore have drawn clear to win the Golden Slipper.
Hello, hello, hello. Day one of the championships, the grand final, ladies and gentlemen, and we are at an absolutely outstanding looking Royal Randwick, Julie Snook.
Good morning to you, Timmy. Good morning to you at home. Look at this. Isn't it picture perfect?
4 Group 1s. I think the Broadway act today is the TJ Smith and Nature Strip taking on Giga Kick. How will that all work out?
Nature Strip, the world champion sprinter, trying to fend them off. Marzu's the first to challenge. Nature Strip, Marzu, Giga Kick lengthening, and I wish I win down the outside. I wish I win, went past Giga Kick, Marzu. I wish I win from last. A spectacular TJ win.
So we're just about ready for the start. Doncaster Mile. Last year's winner is the favourite, and we're ready to go.
Mr. Brightside cruising up on the inside. Coming down the outside is Nugget with a great run. Zugotcha in front from Nugget the outside, and Mr. Brightside is really starting to lengthen now. Mr. Brightside moved up to join Nugget. Then Kamosa Penko, Mustang Valley, and My Oberon bursting through. Mr. Brightside in front from My Oberon. Mr. Brightside lifting and goes back to back.
It's day 2 of the championships, highlighted by Dubai Honour v Animo. Or is it just Dubai Honour and Animo? There's plenty of others who really want to wear that Queen Elizabeth crown.
Animo's cutting loose. Dubai Honour's cutting loose. This is what we've been waiting for. Unicorn Line being grabbed by Dubai Honour, and Animo in the middle. It's Dubai Honour hitting the lead from Animo. They beat off Unicorn Line, but Dubai Honour is drawing clear, and William Haggis has done it again. Dubai Honour by 3 lengths to Animo.
As far as I'm concerned, he's done his job today.
And you'll be back surely with another horse?
I suspect so.
All right, well, let's wind the clock back. Okay,
Have you got us there, Brad?
That was an interesting little segue to go from where I was sitting at Arrowfield about to interview Gay Waterhouse onto a shot of Brad Gray, but that happens. This is what you call live television. Live television. Now, we may go back to that package. I'm just waiting to hear from Central Command, or we might go to the ad break, I think. Is that what we'll possibly do?
I think that's a good idea.
Why don't we go to the ad break?
Stay with us. Brad Gray's coming up next on Racing Dreams for all your day's tips. We'll see you in a minute.
See you soon.
The Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival features an incredible 18 Group 1 races with total prize money of $41 million, making this Australia's richest autumn racing carnival.
You certainly feel as though the Autumn Racing Carnival is back with a bang.
Everybody says you go into racing with dreams. Well, we're living the dream.
Shinzo starting to run on. Cylinder takes the lead of the 200 from Shinzo giving chase. Cylinder, but Shinzo and Ryan Moore have drawn clear to win the Golden Slipper.
Hello, hello, hello. Day one of the championships, the grand final, ladies and gentlemen, and we are at an absolutely outstanding looking Royal Randwick, Julie Snook.
Good morning to you, Timmy. Good morning to you at home. Look at this. Isn't it picture perfect?
4 Group 1s. I think the Broadway act today is the TJ Smith and Nature Strip taking on Giga Kick. How will that all work out?
Nature Strip, the world champion sprinter, trying to fend them off. Marzu's the first to challenge. Nature Strip, Marzu, Giga Kick lengthening, and I wish I win down the outside. I wish I win, went past Giga Kick, Marzu. I wish I win from last. A spectacular TJ win.
So we're just about ready for the start. Doncaster Mile. Last year's winner is the favourite, and we're ready to go.
Mr. Brightside cruising up on the inside. Coming down the outside is Nugget with a great run. Zugotcha in front from Nugget the outside, and Mr. Brightside is really starting to lengthen now. Mr. Brightside moved up to join Nugget. Then came Penko, Mustang Valley, and my Oberon bursting through. Mr. Brightside in front from my Oberon. Mr. Brightside lifting and goes back to back.
It's day 2 of the championships, highlighted by Dubai Honour v Animo. Or is it just Dubai Honour and Animo? There's plenty of others who really want to wear that Queen Elizabeth crown.
Animo's cutting loose. Dubai Honour's cutting loose. This is what we've been waiting for. Unicorn Lion being grabbed by Dubai Honour, and Animo in the middle. It's Dubai Honour hitting the lead from Animo. They beat off Unicorn Lion, but Dubai Honour is drawing clear, and William Haggis has done it again. Dubai Honour by 3 lengths to Animo.
As far as I'm concerned, he's done his job today.
And you'll be back surely with another horse?
I suspect so.
All right, well, let's wind the clock back. Let's look back at some of the...
Don't wind it back too
I won't go
fast,
too... my memory's... It's not that flash.
It was so funny with Nothing Like a Dane, because Dad had left the sales, the Magic Million sales, and gone back to the apartment where he was resting. And I came back and I said, Dad, I've seen a horse I've got to buy. I said, he's Tom Cruise.
Here we are at beautiful Arrowfield. I love coming up here, not only for the food, but just the environment. And
Tim, you put the horses first and your tummy after.
I've been trying to work that out over time. I'm almost getting there.
He's such a quirky character too, and it's just been such a privilege and joy to watch the two of you over the years, because it's almost like you've grown together and you've achieved the heights together.
Yeah, it's been a love-hate relationship, let's put it that way. I was just reading a stat not long ago that he's had 35 starts, he's won 20 of them, but he's been beaten 12 times at $2 or less. So you can see why people love to hate him, I suppose. But he's just been a phenomenal horse to us, and for what we thought he would ever achieve, it's just blowing our minds.
120 plus racetracks. It's a big state as far as racing goes. Many thousands of participants, and race meetings to not just the metropolitan. Obviously, a lot of focus is on the bigger race meetings in the metropolitan area, but it's just as important from an integrity and safety aspect that we supervise race meetings across the state appropriately. Even though I've got the role in the regulatory function, I'm a racing tragic like anybody else, and I'm just fortunate to have a front row seat when I get to the races on the Saturday.
For 325,000 he goes this time, a 73.25. chance, done. 325, thank you.
Well, John Massara, 68 horses, a record draft for Arrowfield, and this sale has been beyond expectations.
Way beyond expectations. I must say I came here with some trepidation, but it's amazing. Of course, the horses in the sale are very, very good horses, well bred, prepared to the minute. But the money's here, and the sale is above last year's, and last year's was a record sales. I was involved in this carnival. I was involved in establishing in its current mode when I was the chair of Racing New South Wales some 10 years ago. And in fact, it's 10 years old, the championships. And the idea was to leverage up on those great races of the past, the Doncaster, the Derby, and all the great races, and get some order in them, and have them over 2 Saturdays and plonk the sales in the middle between the two, so that it was a time where people come to New South Wales, to Sydney in fact, and if you loved horses or you're interested in thoroughbreds, well, you're going to see the best of racing and the best of breeding. And I think it's worked pretty well.
Horses are just a lovely animal. They don't judge you at all by any sense. You know, you can just have a quiet time with them if you're having a bad day. They're just a lovely, beautiful animal.
I think it's your life, it's your soul. Like, it's just a passion, and I would feel like I'd be lost without it.
Oh, lovely package that. Now, Brad Gray, our resident male model from Miranda, my friend, we don't have a stack of time. Tell us about the All-Age Stakes.
Yeah, good morning, guys. A few tips for you to hopefully line your pockets today. The All-Age Stakes, of course, is the highlight of today, and Giga Kick is favourite, but I'm with Zaki. It's funny to say that he is the X-factor in the race, given we've seen him a few times, but he is first up here. We know that Annabelle Neesham did dodge the first part of the autumn with him, saying that she wasn't quite happy with him. So the fact that they're ready to go to the races now, James McDonald sticks, and what he has that Giga Kick doesn't have is, of course, that tactical versatility. He can go forward, he can make his own luck, and a heavy track holds no fears. Now, the other Group 1, quickly, the Champagne Stakes, I think it'll be a rinse and repeat of the size. We saw Militarise run out a dominant winner there of the size, winning by 3.5 lengths, and he was charging through the line. Now, history suggests that the size is obviously the best reference for the Champagne going forward. 17 of the past 20 winners of the Champagne Stakes have come through the size. Short but sweet. I've actually made him the best bet of the day, Militarise. I think all he needs is luck in running to be winning just as comfortably and take out the Triple Crown, I guess you could say, for Chris Waller, who then would have the Golden Slipper winner, the size winner, and the Champagne winner. Best bet, that being Militarise. A few roughies, albeit the price is long gone. Now, race 2 pre-emptory. The highway handicaps are back as of this week, and I think Preemptory runs a big race here. He's going to need a bit of luck at the right time, balancing up from the low gate there. He'll be probably worse than midfield, but if he sees daylight, I don't think they'll hold him out. And one a little bit later is race 6 for Joe Pride by the name of Coal Crusher. He gets the blinkers on, third up, hard fit, goes forward, controls his own destiny, and I think he'll be very hard to chase down. Now, really quickly, on Nature Strip, of course, racing is a game built on opinions, and I say let him race. He's only 8. He's had, 40-odd starts, and I know he's beaten fair and square in the TJ last start. However, I do think there's still some juice left in that lemon. Race on with Nature Strip, I say.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Thank you, Brad Gray. We'll see you next week. As always, thank you to our great sponsors, Racing New South Wales and Arrowfield. We'll see you again next Saturday.
See you then.